The Discovery. The Krellian salvage ship Void Hunter drifted through the empty darkness of the Outer Rim territories. Commander Thex stood on the bridge with his 4 arms crossed behind his back, watching the scanner displays with keen interest. His insectoid features showed satisfaction as various readings appeared on the screens around him. "Commander, we have something interesting," announced scanner operator Thex, his mandibles clicking with excitement. "Large metallic object detected at coordinates 77 Alpha. It appears to be a derelict vessel." Thex moved closer to the main display, his compound eyes reflecting the green glow of the scanner readouts. As the image became clearer, he could see a large ship floating motionless in space. The vessel looked ancient and crude, with thick armor plating and primitive weapon systems mounted along its hull. "Magnify the image," Thex ordered, his voice carrying the natural authority of someone who had spent decades scavenging the galaxy's forgotten corners. The ship that appeared on their screens was massive but clearly outdated. Its design was blocky and utilitarian, lacking the elegant curves and energy-efficient systems that modern spacefaring civilizations had perfected centuries ago. Thick solar panels extended from the sides like primitive wings, and various communication arrays stuck out at odd angles from the main hull. "It's human," announced Vex with obvious disdain. "Look at that pathetic engineering. They still build their ships like flying bricks." The crew erupted in clicking laughter. Second Officer Zora pointed one of her tentacles at the screen mockingly. "Those stupid humans never learned proper ship design. They make everything so heavy and inefficient. No wonder they can barely leave their own solar system." Thex examined the vessel more carefully. The name Defiant Dawn was painted in faded letters along the side of the hull. Multiple gun turrets were visible, but they appeared to be simple kinetic weapons rather than the advanced energy systems that any civilized species would use. The entire ship looked like it belonged in a museum of primitive technology. "Scan for life signs and power readings," Thex commanded. Vex's claws danced across his control panel. "No active power signatures detected, Commander. No life signs either. The ship appears to have been drifting here for a very long time. Preliminary scans suggest it's been dead in space for approximately 50 standard years." 50 years, Thex mused, rubbing his chitinous chin thoughtfully. That would make this ship ancient even by human standards. They'd probably abandoned it when their crude technology finally failed them. The bridge crew continued their mockery of the human vessel. Navigation Officer Clicks gestured dismissively at the display. "Look at those weapon systems. They're still using projectile weapons. We stopped using such primitive technology 300 years ago. These humans might as well be throwing rocks at their enemies." "The hull design is completely wrong too," added Engineer Pirks. "All that heavy armor plating. They don't understand that speed and maneuverability are more important than brute strength. Typical human thinking. Make it bigger and stronger instead of smarter." Thex nodded in agreement. Humans were known throughout the galaxy for their backward approach to technology. While other species had developed elegant solutions using energy fields and quantum mechanics, humans still relied on crude chemical reactions and mechanical systems. It was almost embarrassing that such a primitive species had managed to reach the stars at all. "Prepare a boarding party," Thex decided. Even human scrap metal has some value, and their primitive computers might contain useful star charts. Plus, their weapons could make interesting museum pieces to show how backward some species can be. As the Void Hunter moved closer to the derelict human ship, none of the Krellians noticed the subtle changes beginning to occur deep within the Defiant Dawn. Hidden beneath layers of deliberately crude-looking exterior plating, microscopic sensors began registering the approaching alien vessel. These sensors were far more advanced than anything the Krellians could detect with their scans. In the deepest sections of the human ship, quantum processors that had been dormant for decades slowly began to activate. The ship's artificial intelligence, codenamed Sentinel, started running through its awakening protocols. For 50 years, it had maintained minimal power while keeping its human crew in perfect cryo suspension, waiting for the right moment to resume their mission. The cryo bay contained 4 suspension pods, each maintaining a human in perfect stasis. Advanced medical systems had kept their bodies healthy and their minds intact through decades of artificial sleep. Now, as Sentinel detected the approaching threat, revival procedures began automatically. Captain Sarah Chen had been asleep since 2387, when a critical mission had gone wrong and forced her crew into emergency hibernation. She was a veteran of the human Colonial Defense Force, known for her tactical brilliance and unwavering determination. As the revival chemicals began flowing through her system, her body started the complex process of returning to consciousness. Dr. Marcus Reed, the ship's chief engineer, was brilliant beyond his years. He had designed many of the Defiant Dawn's hidden systems personally, ensuring that the ship appeared primitive while concealing technology that surpassed anything most alien species possessed. His pod began its awakening sequence as Sentinel determined his expertise would be needed. Lieutenant Anna Torres served as the ship's weapons and tactical officer. Despite her young age, she had proven herself in countless battles against alien raiders and pirates. Her strategic mind and quick reflexes had saved human colonies on multiple occasions. The revival system recognized her tactical skills would be essential for the coming confrontation. The 4th crew member was Communications Officer Jake Morrison, whose talent for languages and alien psychology had made him invaluable for deep space reconnaissance missions. His ability to understand alien cultures and predict their behavior patterns had helped the crew survive in hostile territory for years before their forced hibernation. As the Krellian boarding party prepared their equipment, Sentinel continued its secret observations. The alien ship was a typical salvage vessel, armed but not heavily fortified. Its crew showed all the signs of overconfidence and technological arrogance that Sentinel had been programmed to recognize and exploit. The Defiant Dawn had been designed for exactly this type of situation. It was not just a warship, but a sophisticated intelligence-gathering vessel capable of operating deep in enemy territory for extended periods. Its greatest weapon was not its hidden armaments, but its ability to appear harmless while gathering critical information about alien capabilities and intentions. Commander Thex watched his boarding party launch from the Void Hunter's hangar bay. 6 experienced salvage specialists floated through space toward the human derelict, their environmental suits equipped with cutting tools and scanning equipment. They had performed hundreds of similar operations on abandoned ships throughout the galaxy. Remember, Thex transmitted to his team, humans are notoriously wasteful with their resources. Look for anything that might have value, even if it seems primitive. Sometimes their crude materials can be useful for basic construction projects. Team leader Brix acknowledged the order as his team approached the Defiant Dawn's main airlock. The airlock appears to be completely dead, Commander. We'll need to cut through the outer door. As Brix began cutting through the airlock with his plasma torch, Captain Chen's eyes opened for the first time in 50 years. Her vision was blurry at first, but training kicked in immediately. She knew something was wrong. The ship should not be waking them unless there was an immediate threat. Sentinel, she whispered, her voice hoarse from decades of disuse. Report. The AI's response came through her neural implant rather than audible speakers, maintaining perfect operational security. Captain, we have been in hibernation for 51 years, 4 months, and 16 days. The mission parameters changed when we encountered the quantum storm in the Helix Nebula. I maintained life support and ship systems while waiting for a safe opportunity to resume operations. Current status, Chen asked as feeling returned to her limbs. 6 alien boarders are currently cutting through the main airlock. They appear to be from a Krellian salvage operation. Their mothership is approximately 2 kilometers away. They believe the Defiant Dawn is a derelict vessel suitable for scrapping. Chen smiled grimly as she felt her combat instincts sharpening. Perfect. Let them board. How long until the others are awake? Dr. Reed and Lieutenant Torres will be conscious within 3 minutes. Officer Morrison will require 5 minutes due to complications in his suspension cycle. The captain quietly activated her suit systems and began moving toward the bridge. Around her, the ship maintained its appearance of being completely dead, while secretly preparing for what was to come. The Krellians had made a fatal error in judgment, and they were about to learn why humans had earned their reputation as the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. The Awakening. The Krellian boarding party moved through the defiant Dawn's corridors with casual arrogance, making jokes about human engineering at every turn. Team Leader Bricks swept his scanner across the ship's interior, shaking his head in disgust at what he saw. "Look at these control panels," he transmitted back to the Void Hunter. They still used physical buttons and switches. No neural interfaces, no holographic displays. It's like stepping back into the Stone Age of space travel. His teammate Qiz examined a wall-mounted display screen that showed only static. Their computer systems are completely primitive. No quantum processing, no bio-neural networks. How do they ever manage to navigate through space with such backward technology? Commander Thex listened to their reports with amusement from his ship's bridge. "Remember, team, humans compensate for their lack of intelligence by building everything oversized and overcomplicated. Their entire approach to technology is fundamentally flawed." Meanwhile, Captain Chen had reached the bridge and was quickly reviewing the tactical situation through Sentinel's concealed sensors. Dr. Reed joined her moments later, moving silently through corridors that the aliens hadn't yet explored. "Marcus," Chen whispered, "how are our primary systems?" Dr. Reed checked his handheld scanner, which showed readings completely different from what the aliens were detecting. "All stealth systems are functioning perfectly, Captain. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. A dead ship with primitive technology. Our real capabilities remain completely hidden." "What about weapons?" "The kinetic artillery they can see is operational, but represents less than 10% of our actual firepower. The main plasma cannon systems are concealed behind false bulkheads, and our quantum torpedo launchers are completely invisible to their scanners." Lieutenant Torres arrived at the bridge just as the aliens discovered the ship's apparent armory. Through the security monitors, they watched the Krellians laughing at the sight of what appeared to be simple ballistic weapons and chemical explosives. "Captain," Torres reported quietly, "I've accessed the tactical network. Their ship has moderate shielding, but nothing that could withstand our real weapons. They have 6 crew members aboard their vessel, and the 6 currently exploring our ship." Chen nodded thoughtfully. The situation was perfect for what she had in mind. "Sentinel, begin passive scanning of their technology. I want to know everything about their capabilities, their weaknesses, and their intentions." "Already in progress, Captain. Their scanning equipment is approximately 50 years behind current galactic standards. Their weapons are energy-based plasma systems, effective but not particularly advanced. Most importantly, they show no awareness that we are observing them." The Krellian boarding party had now reached the ship's engineering section, where they continued their mockery of human technology. Engineer Perks examined what appeared to be a primitive fusion reactor with obvious disdain. "These humans actually use controlled nuclear fusion for power," he announced to his team. "We abandoned such crude energy sources centuries ago when we developed quantum tap generators. No wonder their ships are so slow and inefficient." What Pyrex couldn't see was that the primitive reactor was actually a decoy covering one of the most advanced power systems ever developed by human scientists. The real power source was a contained singularity generator that produced more energy than most space stations, but its energy signature was completely masked by sophisticated stealth technology. Communications Officer Morrison finally joined the rest of the crew on the bridge, having fully recovered from his extended hibernation. His expertise in alien psychology would be crucial for what Captain Chen was planning. "Jake," she said quietly, "analyze their behavioral patterns. I want to know how they'll react when they realize what they've actually found." Morrison studied the security feeds showing the aliens ransacking various compartments. "Classic salvage mentality, Captain. They're overconfident and dismissive. When they discover the truth, their first reaction will be disbelief, followed by panic. They'll try to retreat to their ship, but their arrogance has already put them in a tactically disadvantageous position. Perfect, Chen said with satisfaction. Marcus, begin bringing our real systems online. Do it gradually so their sensors don't detect the power increases. Dr. Reed worked at his concealed console, slowly activating the ship's true capabilities. Throughout the defiant dawn, hidden systems began powering up behind false bulkheads and concealed panels. Weapons that could level cities emerged from their hiding places. Defensive shields that could withstand direct asteroid impacts began charging. Engine systems capable of faster-than-light travel started their initialization sequences. The Krellians remained completely unaware of these changes. Their primitive scanning equipment couldn't detect the quantum-encrypted power signatures that the human ship was designed to mask. To them, the defiant dawn still appeared to be nothing more than an ancient derelict. Commander Thex grew impatient as his boarding party spent more time mocking human technology than actually salvaging valuable materials. Bricks, stop wasting time making jokes and start collecting anything useful. We have other wrecks to investigate today. Understood, Commander, Bricks replied. Though honestly, there's not much here worth taking. Most of their technology is too primitive to have any practical value. We might be able to use some of their metal plating for basic construction, but that's about it. Captain Chen decided it was time to end the charade. Sentinel, activate the internal communication system. Let's introduce ourselves to our guests. Throughout the ship, speakers that the aliens had assumed were broken suddenly crackled to life. Captain Chen's voice echoed through every corridor where the Krellians were exploring. Attention alien boarders, she said in perfect Krellian language, startling the intruders. You are currently aboard the human vessel Defiant Dawn. You have 60 seconds to surrender your weapons and prepare to be escorted to our brig. The Krellian boarding party froze in shock. Team leader Bricks immediately activated his communicator. Commander, the ship isn't dead. There are humans aboard. Thex's voice came back filled with disbelief. That's impossible. Our scans showed no life signs, no power signatures. The ship is completely inert. Tell that to the human who just spoke to us in our own language, Bricks replied, his voice rising with panic. Captain Chen continued her announcement. Your scans failed to detect us because human stealth technology is far more advanced than your species realizes. You now have 45 seconds to comply with surrender terms. On the bridge of the Void Hunter, Commander Thex stared at his scanner displays in confusion. They still showed the human ship as a powerless derelict. This must be some kind of trick. Run a full spectrum analysis. Vex worked frantically at his controls. Commander, I'm detecting massive power spikes throughout the human vessel. Energy signatures are off the charts. How is this possible? 30 seconds, Captain Chen announced calmly. Lieutenant Torres had positioned herself at the tactical station, ready to demonstrate exactly why humans were feared throughout the galaxy. Captain, I have weapons lock on both their boarding party and their ship. Awaiting your orders. Dr. Reed looked up from his engineering console with a grim smile. All systems are now fully operational, Captain. We're running at 100% capacity. The Krellians aboard the Defiant Dawn were now in full panic. They had expected to loot a helpless derelict, not confront an advanced human warship with capabilities that exceeded their own technology by generations. 15 seconds, Chen announced. Commander Thex made a desperate decision. All teams, evacuate immediately. Return to the ship. We're leaving. But it was too late. Captain Chen had given them fair warning, and they had ignored it. Time's up, she said simply. Lieutenant Torres activated the ship's internal security systems. Energy fields appeared around each of the Krellian boarders, holding them in place without harming them. Their weapons were disabled by electromagnetic pulses, and their communication equipment was jammed. Simultaneously, the Defiant Dawn dropped its stealth masking completely. The ship that had appeared ancient and crude suddenly revealed itself in all its terrifying glory. Weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments throughout the hull. Shield generators created a brilliant blue aura around the entire vessel. Engine systems that had seemed primitive now glowed with the power of contained stars. On the bridge of the Void Hunter, the Krellian crew watched in horror as their scanner displays finally showed them the truth. The human ship was not only fully operational, it was more advanced than anything in their own fleet. "Impossible," Thex whispered. The scans showed primitive technology, chemical rockets, kinetic weapons, basic computer systems. Captain Chen's voice came over their communication system, speaking perfect Krellian with an accent that suggested she had studied their culture extensively. "Commander Thex, your boarding party is now in our custody. They will be treated well according to human military protocols. However, you now face a choice." The alien commander found his voice. "What kind of choice?" "You can depart peacefully and spread word throughout the galaxy that humans are not as primitive as your species believes, or you can attempt to rescue your crew and learn exactly why the Galactic Council classified humanity as a Class A threat species." Thex looked around his bridge at the terrified faces of his crew. Their salvage ship was no match for what they now faced. The human vessel could probably destroy them without taking any damage in return. "How long have you been awake?" he asked. "We've been conscious for approximately 12 minutes, Chen replied. "We've been monitoring your activities since you began your approach. Your dismissive attitude toward human capabilities provided us with excellent intelligence about Krellian technology and tactics." The truth was devastating. In just 12 minutes, the humans had completely turned the tables on what should have been a simple salvage operation. They had allowed the Krellians to board their ship, gather intelligence on alien capabilities, and demonstrate their own superior technology without firing a single shot. "We choose to depart peacefully," Thex said quietly. "An excellent decision," Captain Chen replied. "Your boarding party will be released unharmed. Consider this a learning experience about the dangers of underestimating other species." As the Krellian boarders were escorted back to their ship by human security drones, Commander Thex couldn't help but ask one final question. "Why did you let us board? Why not simply reveal yourselves immediately?" Captain Chen's answer would haunt him for the rest of his life. "Because we wanted to see how you would react to what you perceived as primitive human technology. Your species' arrogance has now been documented and will be shared with human intelligence services throughout the galaxy. You've provided us with valuable insights into alien attitudes toward humanity." The Void Hunter departed quickly, carrying with it a story that would spread throughout alien space. The tale of a derelict human ship that proved to be humanity's most advanced warship would serve as a warning to other species about the dangers of judging humans by their appearance. Captain Chen watched the alien ship disappear into hyperspace, then turned to her crew. "Well done, everyone. Mission accomplished." Dr. Reed looked puzzled. "Captain, what was our mission?" "We've been asleep for 50 years. Chen smiled. "Our mission was to gather intelligence on alien capabilities and attitudes toward humanity. Today we accomplished more than we could have hoped for in 5 decades of active operations. The defiant dawn had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same."